When we talk about sampling, we're talking about the final recorded song. All right, the final recorded song, and then someone comes and they want to take a piece of it. So if they want to take a piece of the vocal, they want to take a piece of a guitar riff or a drum loop, they're taking something from the final recorded version. That's the sample. So even if it's like a 1 second sample, or it's the entire song, or it's the entire instrumental, whatever portion of the recording that the person is using, that's a sample. Okay, and you have to go and get it cleared. You have to go and get permission. So then, going back to, well, when it comes to samples, do you have to get permission? The answer is yes. And if you don't, you just kind of run the risk that you're going to end up getting sued. You're going to get a takedown of your song, right? There's a lot of different things that I've kind of experienced on behalf of my clients. Okay, so case study. If someone has done the song and kind of recreated something from scratch, okay, and uses the same melodies, uses the same chord structure, right? So in essence, they have just kind of remade the song. That's no longer a sample. We're not talking about sampling because remember, I just defined it as you take the thing that was already created and you slap it in your new song. Well, if you never took anything from that original song, it's no longer sampling, but what is it? Okay, so this is kind of where that interesting caveat came into play because a lot of artists do this and producers. So we get into the conversation of, well, is it a cover song? So when you cover a song, you actually are legally entitled to, so long as you get a mechanical license. I'll talk to you about where to get that from. But so long as you get a mechanical license, you can recreate songs with your own voice, right? With your own instruments. And now it's just a cover. Okay. And that's okay. So a mechanical license, you can get it through Harry Fox Agency, Easy Song Licensing. You know, I'm an artist. I do a lot of cover songs. And so when I do my cover songs, I'm just getting them from Easy Song Licensing. That's my preferred platform, but either one's fine. But you got to make sure that you're actually recreating the song and not changing too much. So then back to case study. What if you take the song, right? You recreate it. So it's the same melodies, the same chord structure, the same all the stuff, but now you've just reinterpreted it and you've reproduced it. So it's your own kind of original version. Well, if that's the case, then beautiful. That's a cover and you need to get a mechanical license. But if you slap a new top line on top of it, meaning you have a new rap, right? You have a new hook, you have a new, set of lyrics. If there's some new element that you've added that was not in the original song, then it's no longer a cover. And that's where copyright law is going to kind of bite you in the butt, right? Because they want you to do a true interpretation or your interpretation of a song in order to have it qualified as a cover. And if you don't do that, then it's not a sample, right? Because we didn't actually take anything from the original, but you still have to go and get permission because someone else owns the copyright in those melodies, in what you did, but now you're kind of trying to pass it off as your own song, right? Because now it has new lyrics, new words, you're going to call it something new. So if that's the case, you still got to go and get permission. So then a question might be, well, what if I don't earn money? Okay, what if I'm just going to kind of post this up on SoundCloud? I'm not going to make anything from it. Then is it okay if I kind of make my own version, new top line, new rap, new hook? The answer is that you're still going to get into trouble. Okay, so in the eyes of copyright law, if you take the thing, right, without permission, if you use the melody, if you use that copyrighted material that you don't own without getting permission, then, it's kind of like if you were speeding. It doesn't matter whether you knew about it or you're like, I was only, going 1 mile over the speed limit, like whatever your kind of, defense is, it doesn't matter. You still violated the law. You're still getting the speeding ticket. So same thing here. Even if you don't make money from what you did because it's a mixtape and you give it away for free, you're still going to get into trouble and you still could be found liable for copyright infringement. And the reason is because, you're still getting a value, right? You're getting a value out of using someone else's melody and idea, especially if it was like a hit, right? Someone else came up with that. And if it just so happened, it conferred value because now you get free, kind of marketing because it's kind of like your own remix. There's all kinds of, thoughts that go into why that's the case. But all you need to know is it doesn't matter if you didn't make money, you're still going to get into trouble if you didn't get permission. Okay, another question that comes up. Other independent artists are doing it. Well, How are they doing it? How did they get all of their mixtapes cleared? How did they get all of their songs cleared? And my answer to that is that they probably didn't. All right. So when I have these conversations with clients, I have to be the hard nose, drawing the line in the sand, and really explaining the state of copyright law, because you need to know what your potential liability and exposure is if you do this. But as kind of, part of the music industry and, culture of music production, a lot of people steal and sample and don't get permission, and nothing happens to them until it does. And I call this experiential wisdom. So just meaning that someone can do something, even like people can commit crimes for years and years and years and years, and they never get caught. And so they're like, oh, I can continue doing this thing until they get caught. And so for me, it's just kind of like it's a matter of time. And where you see this pop up is like when someone kind of hits some level of fame. You have your Nicki Minaj's, and your Cardi B's, and then all of a sudden, 6 years after they finally popped, they're huge celebrities. Now everyone's coming out of the woodwork because of that mixtape that they did back in the day. So that's kind of how you need to think about this, right? So if you're going to be kind of throwing caution to the wind, you're going to sample music, going to take people's melodies for your instrumentals and then put something fresh over the top. Cool. But from a legal standpoint, you're definitely exposing yourself to potential liability. You are supposed to get it cleared. So then, the follow-up question will be, all right, so then what do I do? I mean, if everyone else is kind of doing it, right? We hear DJs all the time, mixing songs together, right? Putting instrumentals with new top lines over them, or, popular songs. We hear that all the time, especially on TikTok. So they're doing it, they're getting away with it. And I just go, okay, that's them, until they run into a problem. And so what I say is, I'm like, try to get it cleared. That's cool. And I have videos on this channel, Top Music Attorney, on how to get samples cleared, how to do cover songs properly. And I show you the process. Okay, so go through it. For my music, I have gone through the process to get samples cleared, and sometimes I can't. You know what I do? I take the sample out, or I have to go and change the melodies that I came up with, because I just know that for me, getting slapped with, those kinds of potential sanctions, damages, statutory or otherwise, it's just not good. So it's try to get it cleared, and if you can't, then don't do it, right? Or if you have a brand new rap, brand new hook, brand new production, and the only thing that you took from the original song was kind of like the main, hook in the instrumental, change your hook, right? So just like really feel empowered as like an artist and a producer, that you can do something that's super cool, that can, pop off, and you don't have to just take from other people's ideas and expose yourself to unnecessary potential liability for copyright infringement. And then the last piece of this is when it comes to making sure that the deal that you have in place, right? So if you're co-producing with someone, or you're the artist and you're working with a producer, you need to make sure that you actually have an agreement. And so when I talk to a lot of like producers, I'll be like, oh, you have agreements? Perfect. I love hearing that. And so I'll start going through it. I'll go, okay, in your agreement, does it say who owns the song? Does it say who's getting paid or how they're getting paid? Does it say what's happening with your public performance royalties? And, they'll be like, yeah, I have contracts, but oh no, it doesn't say any of that stuff. And that's not good. You want to make sure that you have a full length agreement that defines all of that, because you guys are doing all this so your stuff pops off and that it hits, right? And so when it does, if you don't have a solid contract, that's when people come out of the woodworks and they're like, ah, gotcha. You forgot to have this language in your contract. So my thing is, get a collaboration agreement. Make sure you have that every single time you do a song with anybody, right? If they touch your music in any way, make sure you have a contract and that it's a good contract. So I've included one of those contracts, specifically a collaboration agreement. You get it for free as one of the templates that comes with How to Keep Your Dukes Up in the Music Business. Guys, this is a $25 book that you can get as a digital download. It's stupid the value of what's in here, but I wanted to make it dirt cheap so you could go and get those contracts. And I'm like starting to literally give this away to, people who do consults with me, just because I'm like, if you were to hire my office to, do that collaboration agreement, I would charge you a 2-hour retainer of, $700. So the point is, it's one of 8 that comes with the book. Please get it. Please download it, and make sure you actually sign a contract every single time you're doing these deals so you can stay legally protected.